Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of 5 Facts. Today we're here to talk about Shaun of the Dead. Shaun of the Dead is a movie from Edgar Wright from 2004, starring Nick Frost and Simon Pegg. It's a great little zombie comedy. If you like British humor or if you like zombie movies, you're going to like this one. I highly recommend checking it out, but anyway, let's get to the facts. Fact number 1. This entire movie is foreshadowed in an early bar scene. Early on in the movie, whenever you've got Ed talking to Shaun about what they're going to do after Liz breaks up with him, he basically says that they're going to stay drunk for an entire day. But then he goes on to say they'll wake up and they'll get Bloody Marys, which Bloody Mary ended up being the lady in the backyard. She had a name tag that said Mary, and they bloodied her up pretty good. He says they'll get a bite at the king's head, which is actually a reference to his stepdad. Then he says they're going to get a couple at the little princess, which means they're going to go pick up Liz, who is the princess, and the couple, which is the other two, Dianne, and I think his name was David. And then he says they're going to shamble on back over and get behind the bar and take a shot. So that's basically detailing when they're going to pretend to be zombies, and when they're going to get to the bar, they're going to start shooting because it's the Winchester and they found the rifle. So basically, Edgar Wright built this entirely into the movie, and I kind of love that he did that, especially because it's not like a serious movie that has to have everything hidden from us. I kind of like that he just detailed it right in front of our eyes. Fact number 2. Despite the odds, Dianne survives. I kind of noticed that Dianne went running off, or basically missing towards the end of this movie. I didn't see exactly what happened to her. And it turns out that she wasn't eaten like her boyfriend was. She actually managed to get out of the place. They actually did an animated commentary where the actress read about it and they drew it all out and kind of storyboarded what happened. She apparently ran out of the Winchester, dodged a bunch of zombies while still carrying the leg, hit a few on her way out, climbed a tree, and from the exertion from everything else, passed out in its branches. When she woke up, she stayed up there a while, eating off the leg. Eventually, when things calmed down, she climbed down, and now she lives with her aunt in Birmingham. So, happy ending for her. Fact number 3. Edgar Wright's former show, Spaced, is all over this, and it's not just because Simon Pegg was an actor in it. An episode of Spaced actually inspired this. It was an episode called Art, in which Simon Pegg was on some sort of amphetamines while playing Resident Evil, and he basically started hallucinating that he was murdering zombies. This kind of planted the seed for Edgar Wright to go forward with the idea. Also, a lot of the stars from the show on here, Nick Frost and Simon Pegg, were both in it, but there's a bunch of ancillary characters that actually made it in their full costumes. There was a guy named Tires that was a bike courier, and he's actually in one of the scenes fully as a zombie. It's not exactly a fully shared world or anything like that, but there's a lot that was inspired from it. Fact number 4. The cause of this particular zombie apocalypse is never fully explained. However, it is alluded to by referencing many other movies. So, you've got the original one whenever he's walking down the street and there's a probe coming. It's an American probe that's coming back from some planet. That's one that goes towards Night of the Living Dead, which was caused by radiation from a probe from Venus. They talk about religious fanatic groups. They talk about all these other things. And every time we're about to get an explanation, the channel changes. The channel changes, the channel changes. And we're kind of left with the mystery of what happened. And I'm actually okay with this, because most of the time, whenever you've got zombies, you're trying to get some sort of convoluted reason as to why they exist, and I don't think it really adds a whole lot. So, I don't mind that at all. Fact number 5, popcorn facts. Whenever I can't find a big meaty fact, we jump into a bunch of little facts. There was almost a sequel to this movie. It was going to be about vampires, and it was going to be called From Dusk Till Shaun, which is awesome, and relates to an awesome vampire movie from, I think, the early 2000s, late 90s. From Dusk Till Dawn. The moment where they say, we don't use the Z word, is sort of a meta reference. I thought it was because Shaun didn't want to face the fact that there were zombies. It ended up being because in all of these other movies, they don't say the word zombie, and it's just kind of a thing. The Romero movies didn't do it. Later on, The Walking Dead wouldn't even do it. There's no mention of zombies in these zombie movies. It's like they aren't part of the canon for the world. So, this movie kind of dove at that and then told him to shut up about it. The extras in this film were actually sourced from the show I was talking about earlier, because the fan forums put out a call for casting. Unfortunately, they were only paid about £1 per day for their troubles. Last little bit, the name Pickle, which is used all the time for Shaun's mother calling him that, is actually what Edgar Wright's mom used to call him whenever he was just a child. This included whenever she was his teacher in school, and I'm sure that those lingering embarrassments are still a bit raw to this very day. Shaun of the Dead is one of the most well-written horror comedies that I've seen in a long time, and I know it's a classic one at this point. It's like 15 years old. I was jarred by seeing how all the phones were flip phones and so on. But this is really just a well-written, well-crafted movie from start to finish. It has some weird continuity stuff where all of a sudden, like, a bashing to the head doesn't quite kill a zombie, but that's all for dramatic effect, and it's all because it's just silly. I feel like this movie actually does character growth better than a lot of non-comedies out there. And it's impressive to see whenever you've got, like, just this group of buffoons and this group of characters getting competent and watching the connections between them grow. It's just a lot of fun, and I really admire what Edgar Wright has done with this, and watching him go into Hot Fuzz and World's End, just seeing him make this Coronado trilogy, and just how good it was for sci-fi, for just all of these, like for the action genres, and it's so much fun. And I'd love to know more about what kind of horror comedies you guys like. Tell me your favorite horror comedies in the comments. Is it Tucker Dale vs. Evil? Is it any number of other ones? Please let me know. We will talk about it later. I hope you have a good night. Bye.